Salutations everyone, this is Razor, bringing you guys some domination action on the Battlefield 4 here with the AEK. And I want to talk about the video game peoples here on the YouTubes, the gamers. Really, not all of us so much as the competitive COD genre first-person shooter peoples. Now, because when it comes down to it, you know, Halo, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, Battlefield, blah blah blah, fill in the blank first-person shooter, it's all pretty much the same. It's all the same idea. It's very competitive. A lot of the skills translate to one another, and yes, they're all, you know, different in their own way, but the community of them is the same. It's the same community, and it's a very weird community at that. I like to look at like the video game spectrum of gamers. Like it's very like similar to like geek culture, nerd culture, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's not really a culture because it's pretty much as mainstream as anything else, just based off of popularity and the number of people who get into, you know, whatever. And the spectrum on like one end is like I like to think of it, and you may think of it in a different way, but like the super into it people on like the one end is like, you know, the World of Warcraft super MMO play all day level 500 whatever mage knight magician thingy with all this special loot and saddles and pets and whatever. People who really get into something and invest a lot of time and money and effort into their game. That's the extreme side of the spectrum. On the other side, the opposite side of the spectrum, I would say is the casual player, the Call of Duty guy who doesn't really know much. You know, he'll use the same 2 or 3 guns the whole time. He'll only play like on the weekends, you know, when he doesn't have work or school or whatever, and, you know, doesn't really get into it that much. You know, maybe he subs to a couple people on YouTube, but isn't really in the know. You know, he's just a bystander because that's what he chooses to be, or she. Not, you know, saying that's an all-male thing, because it's definitely not. There's plenty of hardcore and casual female gamers as well, but on that lower side of the spectrum, the casual weekend warriors, as we like to say, you know, the people who on Call of Duty who will use the noob tube and they don't know what all the guns are because they haven't used all of them, or they don't know this map or this particular little snippet of information about the game that, you know, everyone else knows. Those types of people, they're often very young. Like the younger gamers are often on this side of the spectrum, and it's also the most immature side of the spectrum. And you can say, you know, the super World of Warcraft or EVE Online or whatever, you know, big giant computer thing you can think of, that those people are super nerds and take things too seriously. But on the other side of things, you can say that they take things too seriously as well, because, you know, this is the only thing that they do. Like the dude at Activision, I forget his name, or was it Infinity Ward, I forget, who said that Call of Duty players are not hardcore gamers, and he's absolutely right, and a lot of people were offended. But people who play Call of Duty, and even the people who play Call of Duty a lot, that's the only thing that they play a lot. That's the only thing that they know, and that may be the only first-person shooter that they really know that well. And those people aren't really the hardcore gamers. Like I said, the people who divest a lot of time and effort into, you know, a large network of things, and, you know, fantasy this, fantasy that, which really is very different to this whole twitchy first-person shootery, you know, kill people with guns and explosions and blood and guts kind of a thing. They're very weird, and especially when it comes to their integration on YouTube, because they were the first gamers who really got the attention on YouTube in a large mass of people. You know, Machinima was grown on the COD genre commentator, very low effort, very easy to digest kind of commentaries and gameplays. And the way that that's evolved has been very interesting on YouTube, because it's a very hostile environment. It's much more hostile than anything else. Now you can say any group of people is going to have one extreme or another. So like for instance, people would say like, oh, we don't see very many arguing on like the Minecraft people, but there is some. There's some, alliances and teams and bickering and you stole this and blah blah blah. But, for the most part, it's much more hospitable than the COD genre first-person shooter, scene, where everyone's very hostile towards each other. All the competitive teams they don't like each other. It's always the same people. There's all these different weird rivalries about this video game, which is kind of silly, and all this drama, people switching teams all the time, which is really hard to follow or give a shit about, because the teams are always changing and stuff. Like, would you like the NFL if people change teams every time they played a game? That'd just be really weird. And they always have big grudges against each other. And then the hackers. There's the hackers. And I use hackers in a loose term. It's mostly just script kiddies who they downloaded a program and hit a button. That's basically all they did. But they'll tear down people's, social media things. They'll tear down their channels. They'll hack their this. They'll hack their that. They'll dox them. They'll swat them. And that's really, I feel, unique. Not unique, but it's much more heavily concentrated in the first-person shooter COD genre. And it's very hostile, and it's very different than any other part of the gaming spectrum. And I wonder why that is. Is it just because of so many people can be on this low end of the spectrum with, minimal effort? And that makes, the more people they have and the younger people that you have, the more shitty it's going to be, because of so many voices out there. So I'm just curious. It's an odd little thing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the matter, and I will see you next time.